Welcome, everybody, to the Slash or Smash podcast. I am John, and I am joined, as always, by Matt and Tiffany.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks, I was waiting for it. Although I do like the audio, or the video waves and everything. It's very nice.
I don't know, I figured the silence was a nice little build-up.
Sometimes silence is deafening, they say.
We're very happy to be here.
Sure are. John, what movie are we talking about today? Well, I'm glad you asked, John. Today we are talking about the 1990 cult hit, Frankenhooker.
Are you calling it a cult hit, or did you actually see somewhere on the internet that calls it a cult hit?
Okay, in a little bit of diving into information on this movie, I found out that Bill Murray loved this movie.
It's Bill Murray.
There
I'm not
is definitely a cult following. Like, I've seen enough pictures to know that, yeah, there's definitely a cult following, and there was, like, meetups and everything with the cast members, and yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to verify.
I think there's a whole genre of, like, the grotesque, overly grotesque horror.
Yeah, for crude.
And I think this falls into it.
I would go crude. I was going to say grotesque.
Well, that tends to lean more on gory side of things. While it had gore, I don't know if I would really...
I wouldn't call it gore.
This was an odd one, as there was no blood spurting or whatever. I don't remember there being a ton of blood. I remember there being dismembered body parts, but there wasn't a whole lot of blood.
Yeah.
The only blood I remember was in the beginning.
Yeah, it wasn't much. They didn't have the budget for a lot of fake blood. Stuff's very expensive back then.
I was going to say, last I checked, though, I thought it was pretty easy to make fake blood.
Back then, they only had the capability of making it out of gold, so they couldn't do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fake blood didn't exist back then, Tiff.
No, but
I
mean, like taking ingredients
blood
and then mixing them together. Like, I thought there was a simple concoction.
I'm pretty sure it's just corn syrup and red dye.
It's pretty much, yeah.
I think it's corn syrup and red dye, like the old shit.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the old shit was.
That's why I was like, why? I feel like that's not that hard to get your hands on, but...
That's what those fake blood packets usually are made out of.
Do you not remember the high fructose corn syrup shortage of 1989?
I wasn't born then.
It's very big in the economy. Should look into it.
Why do you think we grow so much corn now? That's obviously it. It's not the ethanol.
Just figured it was easier to get.
The government said this will never happen again. Do you guys want to jump into the plot summary?
Yeah.
I didn't really find a great plot summary on this one, so we'll just kind of fly by the seat of our pants here. But
should be like we do every podcast.
We are a very structured podcast.
Yeah.
Tiffany, how dare you sully our name?
I didn't sully our name. I was just pointing out a fact.
That's fair. All right. The first time we were introduced to Jeffrey, he is secluded and alone in his kitchen working on his Cyclops brain creation. Apparently, this is a nod to like a 1962 movie, The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
Okay.
Everyone else is outside enjoying the festivities, and yet he is all alone in the kitchen. This plot summary really jumps quick. After his wife dies, he takes his isolation further. Okay, we can't just... This plot summary sucks. We can't just jump over the fact that
she was a cow, right? I mean, she was fat. We can't jump over that at all.
She wasn't fat. All her friends were calling her fat. And her mom, too. Didn't her mom say something about it?
Yes,
it
was very mean. It was...
And she was not fat in any way, either.
And massively body shamed.
If
weird.
She was fat, I am super obese.
But, you got to think at that time period, like, everybody was more focused on roids and just getting ripped. I mean, Arnold soared in that time period, right?
That's valid.
Yeah, but women were like stick thin then.
Yeah.
Like that was the in look, and now you want to be thick.
You had a lot of muscular women back then, though, too.
Oh, of course.
Fitness was big in that era. I remember that.
Yeah.
I even remember in the 90s, my dad would be taking, like, vitamins and stuff, and he'd be going to the gym and just getting fucking ripped, and he'd be like, you could be like Arnold. He'd show me Terminator 2 or Terminator and all these other movies he was in. And
great role models.
Now look at it. Now you don't want to look at it.
That's true. I actually do not find that very good
No.
looking when dudes are overly ripped. It's not, I don't know.
There's one
No.
thing to have muscles and a slight definition, you know, that defines it, and then there's one to be like nothing but muscle.
Well, when you look at those actors and they're just ripped, like the veins are popping out and just you could see every ab and everything like that, 9 times out of 10 they look like that because they're dehydrated. And because they've built up, they've got the build, they've bulked up, now they can't drink water for like a good solid week. You're dehydrating yourself. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. I worked with a guy who did those competitions, and he's like, yeah, like a week before the thing, you drop all your water weight. So it just like sucks your skin in, and I don't know. It's gross.
I can't even
It's
imagine
not
that.
healthy.
Like, no, I'm naturally dehydrated. I don't drink enough water, but there's no way I could be that dehydrated. Like, no.
I'm
no.
naturally dehydrated by a booze, but
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to our fitness podcast.
yeah.
Three out of shape people talk about how to work out.
In all fairness, though, at
Ah.
least Matt's working out. John, are you and me working out? No, we're not.
I breathe heavy when I go up the stairs. I count that as exercise.
I mean, I get that. I count walking up and down the stairs
John-
at work.
John moves. He has movement in his life. I imagine he probably has a bowel movement every 2 days.
Every couple hours.
I don't know what. Today I had my hands on my chest while I was walking, and I realized that my tits shake with every step.
Oh, God.
So this podcast has been very eye-opening so far.
Yeah, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Frankenhooker.
Okay,
We're within the first 20 minutes of the movie already. We've already veered off course.
There's a reason, people.
this plot summary cut past the fact that he made a radio-controlled lawnmower that they were giving to his girlfriend's dad.
Who was stupid enough
she
to...
turned it on.
Yeah. Who, by the way, was standing about 4 feet in front of it as she was pressing
Yes.
all the buttons with her back towards it.
They ripped that shit off from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, so fuck them.
When did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids come
I
out?
don't care. I'm still saying it. Hey, you know what? You could fact check that. I don't care. I like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids better.
Time be damned. You did it wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she gets run over by this, which is so just embarrassingly bad. And it just obliterates her body, and she goes...
Which makes no
she
sense
dies.
because I'm pretty sure, if anything, it would just kill her legs. Like, she would be...
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Would not be able... It wouldn't completely
No.
kill her. It would just massacre and mangle her legs. She wouldn't have
Honey, I
legs.
Shrunk the Kids was done in 89.
Oh,
Nice, so
it
they
was
did rip it
before.
off.
Yeah, you fuckers.
I dove into a little bit of information on this film. This film took 12 years to make,
Wow.
which makes it even more embarrassing.
God.
Yeah.
You know, the movie itself was sad without knowing facts, and now it's just getting sadder with more facts that we bring to light.
Yes. So afterwards, his mother comes into his room and tells him that she is worried about him. He needs to go out and find a new girl. He expresses concerns to saying her that he has become more antisocial and dissociated with reality.
Oh, hold on.
That's a grieving thing. I get that.
It is, but I just want to kind of set the scene a little bit because apparently the synopsis failed to mention this. As he's having this conversation with his mom, he has this entire full body page layout of how he's going to construct a human girl. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Right in front of her.
yeah, like that's a full detailed model. Like he's got the for all the electrical things, like the veins that look like wire. It's fucking weird.
There were nipples.
There, yes, he had the switch on and off under one of the breasts. Yes.
He says he can no longer differentiate right and wrong or good and bad. He tells his mom that he feels like he's falling into madness. His mother completely blows off his concerns. This is where Matt comes in with his 80s parents are the worst.
Yeah.
Because they are.
Yeah.
They really are. Saying that she only requests that he not stay up too late that night. That is the only time he reaches out to anybody in the film for help. We find out here that he has kept the head.
Yep.
Is this where we found out that he kept the head of his wife?
Yes.
The disembodied head.
Yes.
Oh, and then he has dinner with her.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. He has dinner with her. It's like,
I love how John's like, oh, it's all coming back.
oh, God, I tried to shut it out. I tried hard. He has dinner with her disemboweled head. No, her whatever. Her
Decapitated
head that got cut
head.
off. That's the word. Her hand
Yep.
and her foot.
Yeah.
All important parts.
That's all I need out of a woman.
Which again, just saying, her, like everything below the pelvis would have been mutilated. So how there's a foot that's intact, I don't know.
I don't really understand that. I mean, obviously they were just...
Because those Achilles heels would have been nommed up real fast.
I feel bad for the prop guy in this film.
Why? I think he had a hell of a time.
I think that I don't feel bad for him at all, because I think he obviously had a budget for quite a few props, but he probably just got sick and tired of it and started making them really shitty.
That's fair.
You know, there had to have been one point where they were throwing model boobs at each other. I mean...
Oh, yes, of course. What do you guys think the budget of this film was?
Terrible.
It's not a number.
I'm gonna say $2 million.
Less than that. I definitely would say a million.
You know what? I'm gonna guess that because I bet you this is one of those movies that they had a huge budget for and they just fucking blew it on probably drugs.
Like The Gate?
Well, that's fair. The Gate had a very high budget for what we got.
Yeah.
Still, I found The Gate like more and more on these old horror pages on Facebook, and people say it's like their favorite horror movie from back in the day. I don't get it.
It's gotta be a nostalgia thing.
By the way, did we talk about that they have a second one? There's a Gate 2 out.
I think there's 3.
Oh, that's even worse. I saw them on Hulu as I was going around. And I was like, what the fuck?
That definitely needed a sequel. The budget for this movie was $1.5 million.
Still too high for what they did. Unless most of that movie was paying the actor.
I think 1.4 of it went into the horrible props, and then the other 1,000 probably went to the hookers.
And the drugs.
Yeah, I hope they were real hookers. Sex workers need jobs too.
They very well could have been.
I like the outfits. Jeffrey Franken, apparently was his name, takes mad scientist to a whole new level. We encounter his madness when we witness him kissing the life-size diagram of a human body with a picture of his dearly departed Elizabeth's head taped to the top. So when he was talking to his mom, I forgot to point this out, but there was like just a shit ton of pictures in the background. They were the weirdest, like, we need to look like this is a real home. Let's take some odd pictures and put them in frames and hang them on the wall behind him during the scene.
Yeah, like some of them looked like he was stalking her from a distance, like she wasn't even realizing that he was there.
They were horrid. They were absolutely horrid.
And were they actually married or were they engaged? I thought they were engaged. Were they actually married?
Oh.
Because it said that it was his wife, and I only thought they were engaged, but maybe that was...
Oh, maybe they were engaged. I think so.
Minor detail.
We first get our glimpse of boobies, too, during that scene when he has dinner with her, as he pulls out, like, this weird collage of, like, naked bodies.
Oh, yeah, because he's like, showing her, like, oh, I could have your body like this, or you could look like this. Yeah, that's right.
Super fucking odd.
I feel like that was something that's portrayed in a lot of, like, the early or late 80s, early 90s, was, like, girls making collages, whether it be, like, of their face, of the perfect face, or guys doing that. I feel like that was a big stereotype thing that was in a lot of movies.
This movie, I would say, is like a B-rated, erotic, weird science.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
That's my kind of intake or input on that. We also skipped over the fact that he drills holes in his head with an electric screwdriver, claiming to help him think.
It's like he's trying to hit the nerve of his brain, or like the certain areas of your brain, because certain areas of your brain help you with critical thinking. Some of them help him with like planning, but that's just not how that works.
I don't know, Tiff. Have you ever tried it?
No, that's not good.
Right? How dare you?
Wow. I will point out Weird Science 1985. They ripped that shit off, too.
Oh, they definitely did. 100%.
I've never watched Weird Science. I have to take your guys' word. I'm sorry.
Okay, does anybody know where in the brain your critical thinking part is?
Fuck, no. I don't think I got it.
The whole brain or just the critical thinking?
I took psychology, but I did that. It's been a long time.
Which part of the brain controls critical thinking? I am not typing anything. I don't know where I was typing.
Is it down here by the brainstem in the back? Like Magala? I'm Amygdala.
Man, can you look that up? Yep. I don't know what.
Amygdala? Wait, no. What is it called? Fuck. It starts with AM.
Your medulla oblongata?
I don't know if it's that one, but it's close.
Your hippocampus? And that's all the parts of the brain that I know.
The frontal lobe. That's a part of the brain.
The prefrontal cortex is home to higher order thinking.
And where's that located? Right behind your ear, where you could easily get to it with a drill?
That ain't gonna work, is it? Hey, there you go.
Hey, which one is it?
That's like in the center-ish.
Yeah.
So he was way off because it was all like behind his.
He was like back up in here.
Right? That scene was so fucking odd.
And I'm sorry, but the look on his face was almost of like a pleasure, not pain. I'm sorry, you're putting a drill through your skull. You're probably gonna feel some fucking pain.
There was a lot of times in that movie where I thought that guy just fucking creamed his pants, to be honest. So
Valid.
it was a little disturbing.
This is where he comes up with the idea to kill hookers for their body parts to recreate the perfect body for Elizabeth.
Yep.
He said, if I need female body parts, then I'll just buy female body parts. This is where the movie really jumps into the erotic section. He then goes to... so they imply that he's a mechanic, right? He had like the jumpsuit on with the
it's an electrical job though. I thought he was in the electrical job. I just don't.
He's a makeshift electrician. He's a handyman of an electrician because he didn't look like he was qualified in any way, shape, or form.
No.
But
he goes downtown to purchase these hookers with a lot of money.
Well, I would say maybe he had a life insurance policy on this chick, but who knows?
I thought he stole it from his mom, but
all valid. All very valid.
So the possibility is there.
Yeah, we don't actually know.
So he shows up and he talks to one of these hookers, and then she brings him to her pimp, looking for the name Zorro. She takes him to meet Zorro in the goofiest bathroom office that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no bathroom has that big of an opening like that, like where this, like between stalls.
You guys haven't been to many bathrooms.
I mean, I've been to bathrooms where there's like 40-something stalls. So I get it.
Have you ever walked into a bathroom with a very muscular? I don't even know what background this man was, but he had a gold chain. He looked like the most typical Miami person that ever existed.
Yep,
is how I describe him. And then there's just tons of sex and drugs going on in this bathroom.
80s, well, 90s.
I don't know. I thought it was entertaining that two people were screwing in one of the stalls, but then there's another guy who was like trying to close the door and you'd see it swing open.
Yeah, it's awful. It was terrible. It's so funny.
That's another curious thing. Obviously, I think this takes place in more of the 80s versus the early 90s, but I don't know.
Again, it took 12 years to make, so very well the theme of it could be 80s. Just kind of all
mingled while they were all recording.
That's just sad.
Yes.
That's really sad. I think that's the saddest part that I've heard on this whole movie, that this took 12 years.
Hey, man, you wanted those great breast props, man.
I feel like me and Matt could make this movie in 3 months.
Yeah.
Valid.
We could.
All right, so it's in this bathroom that he then finds that all these girls will basically do anything for these drugs that they're all hooked on. I don't know a lot about drugs, but I don't know what type of drug this was.
They didn't make any sort of, they didn't make any clear or even like a read between the lines, this was a drug kind of thing. It was just a drug. Yeah. It's very weird.
Matt, do you have any idea what it would have been?
Well,
I'm not saying you're a drug guy, but yeah, let's go to the forensic specialist here.
Well, we look at the drugs that he had. Were they crystallized? I want to say that they were. Like the big bag that they pulled out.
All I saw was they just came in these little plastic tubes.
They were pill forms. I
don't know, and maybe they just kept it vague.
Oh, and I think that's what it was. I don't think they were trying to specifically indicate.
I gotta look up another date on another movie, but you know what it reminds me of? What it really reminded me of was Nuke, and I don't expect you guys to know what that is.
I don't know Nuke.
Nuke was a drug that was big time, and you've probably seen the demo of the new video game coming out. It was big time in RoboCop 2. That was the huge drug that was going around in that movie.
Oh.
And it kind of reminded me of that, so I'm almost wondering if they took that from the RoboCop 2. I gotta look it up and see when that was made, though.
Again, 12 years in production, they needed all the help they could get.
I don't remember what the drugs even looked like in RoboCop 2. I'd have to go back and rewatch that.
I don't even know if I've watched the second one.
RoboCop 2 was filmed 1990, so...
It's around the same time. I don't know.
So RoboCop ripped off Frankenhooker is what we're getting at.
Well, I mean, it was the same year, so I don't think so.
And it still did better.
It did much better. RoboCop 2 was not bad at all, honestly. I was a huge fan of it.
Yeah. So then he decides he's going to, what was it, charms The pimp?
He talked with Zorro, but I think it's the cash that he showed him.
Yeah, he's
saying,
got money.
Hey, I just want to look
Yeah.
and see what ones are the perfect ones, and that's how they kind of set up the whole appointment thing.
Yeah, so he gets like a half hour to inspect like 10 women or so or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
So he sees that they all like do anything for drugs, so he's going to create this super drug that explodes
Yeah.
and give it to him. It's very odd.
I don't think he meant it to explode them necessarily,
Well, it's an easy way to get the parts and save you a
because
little
he
bit of
seemed
time.
awfully shocked that it exploded at the end.
He was well aware with the hamster that they were going to explode. I mean, he blew up that hamster.
A little shocked at the explosion of the hamster. Maybe it was just how effective it was. Maybe he wasn't expecting it to explode like as much pressure happened. So maybe.
I am so going to isolate that line that Matt just said. He should have known from the hamster that it was going to explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then he meets all these girls in this weird hotel apartment thing with this creepy-ass dude behind a cage.
So it's just the way it's one of those hotels where that's where hookers would take
That's where
their...
shit happens.
Yes, the hotel person knew what was going on, but the reason he was behind a cage, it was more of a protection for him. So if someone were to come in, rob or whatever, it's like a protection thing. You've never seen that in movies, John?
I didn't know you two were so knowledgeable on this.
It's obviously in a place that the cops really won't go down because it's just not worth trying to police the area.
It's about the only thing that won't go down.
Hey.
But again, when you're talking about a hooker scenario, you need to have a place to take your, not prospects, but your customers in a privacy setting instead of just being on the street.
Yeah.
Similar to a massage parlor.
But not part of a
Tiff
massage
knows
parlor.
all about that.
So he starts doing these weird-ass measurements, and he puts like a check mark on some woman's ass.
Yeah, he's measuring
Because he
proportions.
And,
found a good ass cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets all these things together, and then the girls are like, "Hey, what was the catalyst for them to get the drugs? I don't remember."
The drugs were going to be handed out freely, but he couldn't find the perfect woman, and he didn't want to kill all of them.
Yeah, the drugs were just for the women that he was going to be purchasing. The reason, they stole his little medical bag that he went in there, and that's where the drugs were, because she went in to see what else there was, because she's like, we need to get paid. And that's when she found the drugs, and they all were like, oh my God,
Yep.
fucking take them
Yeah,
all.
they're like, "You're taking too long." But then they started doing all the drugs, and he was like, "Oh my God, you need to stop." And they held him down while each one of them exploded. And then Zorro came upstairs, and he opened the door because he was like, "The fuck's going on? It's taking too long." He gets hit by a head that exploded off a woman's body and knocks him out, which allowed Jeffrey to escape freely. The exploding bodies in this were it was so
They
bad.
put fireworks
It
on
was-
mannequins and watched them explode. That was about the
And
gist
they didn't even hide it well. They didn't even
No.
come close to hiding
there
it
was
well.
fires that were starting, like as the bodies exploded, you saw a little flame, and it's like, that's not how bodies just start to explode.
Never burst into flames when you exploded, Tiff?
Nope.
Sparks? Lots of sparks inside the human body, apparently.
Apparently, there's got to be a lot of wires in our body, because holy fuck.
So he takes all the loose appendages, I guess, and bags them up, throws them in his car, and drives them home. Dumps a ton of them in this freezer type thing with the magical goo that keeps the shit alive in it.
It's supposed to have, this is crucial for the ending. Supposedly, in his little liquid goo stuff that he made, there's like estrogen stuff, like female hormones to keep like all the hair and stuff nice and the skin looking good.
And the tits perky.
I mean, he doesn't have tits. He didn't have tits before, so it is pre-tit, but
He had an entire plate of tits.
now
during this
he
part.
has an entire plate of tits, but beforehand he didn't.
That's true.
We all have tits.
And as a man, I'm jealous I don't have an entire plate of tits.
I
So
know what I
anyways.
want to say. I'm not going to say it, John. So let's just move on.
Damn it.
No. We are going to wait here until you make your comment.
Please. Pretty please.
Well, if you look down, you'll be able to see some nice ones right in front of you.
So I just hold a plate under me. All right, worth it.
Oh, fuck.
If only we actually would have had Jordan with like a plate.
So during this part, he gets her all put together in this. I looked this up specifically because when they show the outside of the garage, it looks like a shed that you'd have in your backyard.
Yeah.
But when they show the inside of the garage, it is humongous, insanely huge. So he gets her put together. He pulls this thing. There's giant Tesla coils that are powered by these gigantic smart plugs, about 3 feet in length. Awesome. Sends this platform up in the air. You know, the typical lightning hits it to bring it to life.
Typical
and shit.
Frankenstein theory there.
Yep.
Yeah. So then it comes down and she's standing on the platform now, still with the sheet
Like
on.
morning wood.
Yeah. Which, if she would have took the time to stand up, the sheet would have fell off. So she purposely took the sheet and put it over herself.
Like morning wood.
Yeah. And if you're a lucky man, that sheet would be your significant other.
Oh, God.
It's fun. All right, so then...
Also, I do want to point out at this point in time, after the sheet gets pulled off, she had blonde hair. She now has purple hair and white covered
That's true.
face instead of her normal pale or normal.
And I'm pretty sure she has purple nipples at some point, too,
Yeah.
when they show it.
Was it? Okay.
Also, her face is, like, painted white, but the rest of her body is, like, natural skin
She's
color.
got like purple makeup around and everything, her eyes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's supposed to show like the coldness of death, I'm sure.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah.
Then her original face should have paled up instead of kept her peachy color. Then
She didn't have blood back then, Tiff, all right?
no.
So basically, her brain is wiped at this point, and she only has the memories of the last few days from each and every hooker that he blew up.
Which doesn't make any sense.
It's
No,
no,
it
it's part of the
doesn't.
body parts. It's part of it's because she has so many different parts of all these different hookers put together. It conglomerates and meshes into having all these different personality trait together. So that's why she's got that mind of the hooker.
So if I lose my hand, then I won't have any thoughts from when I had my hand? I don't understand. Or if I get a different hand?
It's like a personality thing. If you were to lose your hand and let's say we were to stitch on someone else's hand, potentially
John's.
it's part of someone's personality starts to become one with you.
So I'll remember every time John used that hand. Let's not do that.
Lot of masturbating. Not very long strokes either, if you know what I mean. All right, so then she just leaves. He can't stop her, and she heads back to the hooker playland.
Because her first line to him was, "You looking for a good time? Do you have money?"
Yeah, she basically is just a broken record at this point. She meets up with some dude. They go back to the hooker place. During this sex scene with him, you could see her hoo-ha. And I don't mean to use vulgar words like that, but it was definitely visible for a little bit, which I thought was pretty crazy. They have sex,
She's smoking.
and she kills...
She's smoking.
She smokes from it.
Smoking hot, yeah.
I don't understand why she started smoking while her and her were doing their thing, and then he blew up.
Is it supposed to be because of the electricity that brought her to life? Like she's full of
Yeah.
electricity?
I assume that. Obviously, it's some sort of way of them to portray electrocution, which that doesn't happen. But
There's no such thing as electrocution in this movie. If it's going to be electrocuted, it's going to blow up in the end.
electricity blows up everything. All right, you must tell people, warn the people.
Every time I go on Reddit and watch electricians getting electrocuted,
Pow.
they all just explode. Every time. So then she kills him, and then that's when Jeffrey finds her,
Nope.
and he brings her back. No, did I miss something?
Don't forget the sketchy guy that kisses, like forcefully kisses her because he does the sports line or whatever. Is that first pickup line?
Yeah.
That real greasy
He
guy?
was the greasiest man on the planet.
Yeah, because she kills him first before she left the hotel.
Yeah.
And then she goes to a bar, the local bar where Zorro is.
Because Zorro's like, what the fuck happened to all my women?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he sees his brand on her shoulder, and he's like, "That's my woman right there." So then there was a guy that was sitting at the bar.
Friend of Zorro's.
Yeah, friend of Zorro's hit on this woman.
Which no one sees the brand.
What was her name?
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth. Yeah, sorry. They go into the corner, and he just decides right then and there, I'm gonna chow down under the table on you in this club like a classy man.
Yeah.
It's very crowded.
Nothing was very classy about the
Yes.
club, so.
I think that's how my grandma and grandpa met.
At least he found a corner booth.
and And then he gets electrocuted and blows up as well under the table? Or did he just get electrocuted?
No, I think he blew up, but it was just his like head and shoulders.
Everybody in the bar freaks out and runs off.
Yeah, okay. And then Zorro realizes, shit, I need to find this woman. So he tracks her. Jeffrey grabs her, throws her in a car, drives back to his place. Zorro shows up. Jeffrey's like, all right, you guys got to help me fill in here because I forgot a little bit.
Okay, so Zorro, what ends up happening is that guy goes down on her. He blows up. Everybody's running out of the club. Zorro's running after her because he knows she's
Zorro's watching.
She's his in his mind. That's my woman. What the fuck's going on? He knocks her fucking head back, clean back, and it breaks off of the torso section.
Oh yeah, like the neck rips open.
Yeah. And
that's when Jeffrey walks in.
Yeah, now I don't recall how Zorro ended up. Somehow he ended up pushed off to the side, or he was disposed of. He wasn't killed. But...
Yes.
I think when he punched her and her head went back, I think some of the electricity kind of shot him back.
Yeah,
I think that's how he.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think that's how he got pushed away a little bit.
That makes sense in this logic of this universe, totally. But
Frankenhooker is all I'm saying.
Jeffrey grabs her and gets her back because he has to juice her back up again or make some repairs. I think he actually charges her up with like a battery, like a car battery or something.
So that's when he puts in the metal things.
He's got the metal
because
through the
he's
neck.
actually he's finding a way to centralize the electricity so that way he can zap, and also he had to close the neck up too.
That resets her mind.
Yes, because now when she wakes up after that, she's Elizabeth, because she's like, Jeffrey, where am I?
Yeah, she's back to normal. Yep. And that's when Zorro shows up and he's like, I'm going to kill you.
Was it a knife or a machete? I feel like it was a machete? Okay.
It was a machete,
yeah. Because when he came up behind him and was ready to swing, and I was like, oh, bitch is going to get stabbed. Nope. Head clean right off.
No, he straight up cleaves off the main character's head, which I was like, all right, I didn't see that coming. I did not see it coming at all.
I didn't care either, but...
No, it could have happened like half a movie ago, too, and I would have been fine with it. But then, so the tub of goo shit with the rest of the hooker parts.
Well, this is when he confronts Elizabeth and says, "You're my hooker. Let's like fucking go. I own you. Like, let's go."
Yeah, he's being mean.
He's being mean.
Was there something that caused the freezer thing to tip
timing.
over? Or
it was them moving. Like it started shaking, like rumbling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they were getting angry because he was there.
Well, I don't know if it was because he was there or if it was just the right time to make something happen.
It doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah, I'm putting way too much thought into this. So then these weird creatures...
It's like all Toy Story up in here.
Yeah, it was just if you combined all the parts in a fucked up way. That was probably the most creepy-ass thing of this whole movie.
That was the creepiest part of the movie. I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, hands down. So then they attack Zorro and drag him back into the freezer and kill him.
And they took his drugs that he dropped. And they went for the drugs.
Well, you gotta. And then Elizabeth hooks up Jeffrey to the machine, and somehow she knows exactly how to bring him back to life perfectly.
He took great notes. That's what she said.
Honey, if this happens to me, step one.
But there's a twist when she brings him back.
And what is that twist, Tiffany?
He has a female body.
He lost his Johnson.
And gained some mountains.
I would have been like, hey, give me a couple minutes alone, huh?
The whole point is Jeffrey was saying he could only bring back females.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see Jeffrey's head and he kind of comes back to life, and then they talk for just a second, and then you see him pan out, and Jeffrey is on a woman's body. He is all...
Yeah, and the fake, body he was attached to was creepy as all fuck.
It looked better than Elizabeth's put together, I'm just saying. Like,
True,
there wasn't stitches all over the... and it was all, pretty well connected.
Creepy as fuck.
My question is, so here's my question. Where'd that body come from?
I'm thinking Jeffrey made a second one just in case, a failsafe.
Yeah, but that body was way better than the first. Why not try that?
She must have killed... No, she had to have killed somebody because that body was whole. It wasn't pieced together. It was a whole...
It's very possible because a lot of the stuff that was in the fridge kind of already formed into its own balls of mass and stuff. So it's very possible she went and killed someone, cut the head off.
Maybe it was his mother.
Ew.
Her mother...
I know, it's so fucked up.
Oh,
That would have been a better twist. Oh, yeah, so that was Frankenhooker. Yeah, that's wide open. Apparently, when the writer pitched this movie to the
Everybody
studio,
was high.
literally had no script, just made it up on the spot, and they were like, all right, sure, make it. So, yeah, that explains a lot. That explains a whole lot. Do you just want to go into a rating, or do you guys want to talk about anything more on this movie?
Maybe a little bit more onto the female actress, which is Patty Mullen. She goes.
Is she the one for Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay.
She goes on ahead to star in a couple other films.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Titanic?
No.
She didn't get an award for Frankenhooker, did she?
No, but I think that this cult following may very well have followed her a lot, because it just seems like the same type of movies. Like, and they go into what I watched a preview for it. It was called Doom Asylum, and it's probably just as crappy of a setup, but it actually does look like a slasher film. So at least there's that.
Okay.
But after that, I've seen something here I've not seen the trailer for, called Zombatrix, which is exactly what you think it is. I'm guessing that it definitely sounds like it's a dominatrix turned zombie.
Okay, there's a lot of weird obsessions that were coming out of the 90s.
I'm going to have to turn my camera off for a bit here.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. My guess is that if this does have a cult following, they're probably huge fans of those movies too.
Leave it to her to get typecasted.
Someone had to in that movie, and I'm glad it was her. You know, Jeffrey wasn't getting fucking casted.
If you could take, like, what do you think could have made this movie better?
Putting actual horror elements would be first things first.
Yeah.
True, I don't think this should have been classified as a horror film.
No, there was only one part where I was actually creeped out, and it was the body parts molding into their own little shapes and coming alive for Zorro. Like, that was the one part I thought kind of gave me, like, ooh. So
I honestly think that this has the concept of this, or a lot of elements of it, has potential to be a very good horror movie, and almost in one where you're actually rooting for a fucking pimp to be the victorious one, which is weird.
Yeah,
but I think that it definitely could be something, including, like, it had some really good ideas. It had some good environments that could really bring forth a creepy horror movie, especially those fucked up creatures. Like, I mean, you could make something with this.
Yes.
You could definitely do something with this.
My thoughts were the pacing of the movie was bad. It should have started, we could have breezed over the whole bringing it to life thing, and then it could have been more of like a horror monster movie where she was still trying to turn tricks but killing people and doing all that shit, and her or Jeffrey and the pimp had to team up to stop her.
Could do that.
Something like that. It should have spent most of the majority of the movie her being the undead prostitute killing people and people finding a way to stop her. That's what I felt it should have been, and maybe would have added a little bit more to it.
Yeah, because she wasn't technically brought back to life until like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
like the whole movie was like I think they did good with the opening as far as like you see him in the kitchen by himself working on trying to reanimate this brain. That is a perfect indication that says, okay, this guy is messing with some weird shit, like his brain.
Yes,
some weird shit going through his brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and then they spent way too much time on bringing her back to life. They could have kind of glossed over that after the death. They spent too much time
on the fact of him looking for the perfect body part. They just wanted to create.
They spent not enough time on the plate of boobs.
Yeah.
We should add a 10-minute slow zoom in on it.
They did. Actually, they had to cut it for time.
They should have glossed more on them reanimating her and more of like the horror,
her actually being out
her
in
causing
society.
chaos across town.
Yes. Like most Frankenstein-like movies will focus on is something is brought to life, and then you see it wreaking havoc, whether or not they have you sympathize with it or say kill a damn thing.
Yeah.
Nah, it would have made it better if that would have been taken into consideration.
This to me strikes to me as if you were to give a pervy nerd free reign of a movie, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, if you were to give John a free reign of the movie back in the 80s, or sorry, 90s.
Don't forget, give him some pot or something too while you're at it.
It's almost like this was like where film students who just graduated, my best buddy is a prop maker, we're smoking weed, we're perverts.
And here's your $1 million idea.
What if we made a movie like Frankenstein, but like she's a hooker?
I would believe that if they had any concept of how drugs actually work in this movie. Any concept. But it doesn't look like they have any. It doesn't look like they know at all what the hell they're doing when it came to that.
They just know that once people see drugs, they lose their shit.
All they know is that we want to see tits because we're horny little fucking pervs.
I would love to know their thought process, how they came up with this. Did they, when they were first looking at getting everything, the outline and set up, were they looking for this to be a horror movie, or were they trying to make it like, let's make it kind of comedy? Like, let's make it kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm guessing that.
Did it cross wires in between?
I hope
Did it
that.
start as a horror, and then all of a sudden people are like, no, this is turning terrible. I gotta add comedy to it, otherwise no one's ever gonna want to watch this.
I honestly wonder if they did hire hookers. I'm seriously wondering.
They
that.
were decent at acting if they were, though. I mean, they were pretty good at it. But then it would be like, oh, well, that'd be like casting me to be the overweight fat guy who thinks he's funny.
We live in America. There's a lot of those guys.
I know. What, a white guy with glasses and a beard on the internet who started a podcast? That's weird. Trying something new?
Wow.
Yeah. Let's.
Oh, John, you're making it really hard for me to pick on you tonight. I mean, you're just doing it all for me. I guess I have no job.
This just turned into a fucking intervention.
So, you guys, I have problems. All right. What do you give it a rating?
Slash. No.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great movie if you want to watch a movie that's going to make you giggle at every dumb, ridiculous thing that happens. But as far as the fact that we are a movie horror podcast, this was terrible.
Worse than The Gate?
You know what? The Gate had a little bit more creepy parts. If we're literally solely rating it on horror, I think The Gate was scarier. I really do think.
Was it as boring as Pin? It was slow.
Okay.
This was slow moving. Pin was very slow moving.
If we're talking on story aspect, I really do think it was slower than Pin. I think the reason it doesn't seem like it is because we were laughing at every freaking thing, like with the exploding bodies, because they were so bad.
Yeah.
But I think if we're literally looking at the story...
The Jersey accents didn't help either.
Why? John loved the Jersey accents.
I do. Give me a Jersey accent and tits and I'm happy.
John rates us a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, John ranks this a smash. Let's go.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Best movie we watch. I'd have to give it a slash rating. But you know what this movie is? Like when you're 12 and you're having a sleepover and you turn on like the movie channel at like 2 a.m. when you tell your parents you're sleeping, but you're not. And you're like, oh, let's go watch the movie channel. And this comes on and you're like, oh, tits. This is what this movie is. This is the equivalent
of finding your dad's magazines.
This is for the kids just starting puberty. Yep.
Yeah. This is 100% like, oh, God, we watched this movie and tits and drugs and exploding. Yeah. This is a 12-year-old's wet dream to watch this.
A really fucked up 12-year-old's wet dream.
Yes, the ones that go on to become sociopaths.
Not being guided correctly.
My kids.
I wasn't going to bring any of them up, but you did it.
That's fair. Dad of the year. I got a mug that says it. You can't throw me in jail.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a slash, too. I think that it touched base on crude humor, very crude humor. Crude horror, if any horror. I really wasn't scared one bit throughout the whole thing.
No.
It's not meant for that. Where it did just as well as Pin did cringe. This did just as well as on crude. And
yeah. I could see that.
For me, it's a slash. I enjoy it. Now, as far as being better or worse than The Gate, I don't know. I'd probably rank it somewhere. They're both on the same level to me. But I guess
yeah.
if I had to say anything, I think that as a child, I might find The Gate scarier. So I'm going to actually rank it worse than The Gate.
That's fair. I think that's very
this
fair.
Day would come, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I didn't think so either. It's quite shocking. Who's choosing the next movie?
Me.
That would be Matt.
Yep.
What are we watching next time, Matt?
Behind the Mask. Dun, dun, dun. The story of Leslie
Vernon.
Vernon. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The story of Big Bird.
Yeah.
And the actor who plays Big Bird. True horror case.
Jesus.
I am excited to watch it, and after this, I don't think it can be any worse.
No, I think that you guys will really enjoy it. We after Pin and Frankenhooker, we need a movie that we will enjoy.
I was gonna say, I'm more or less just hoping that we find a movie that's actually scary. Because as much as I am not, like, super into the horror, because then I'm going to get off and be, like, paranoid as I go about my day, but could really use a scary
Well,
one.
I think that the next movie, this is another movie that I've seen before. My next pick, it's going to be something I've never seen before, because I know you guys have been doing that, so I'm going to be able to do that too, but I think you'll enjoy this.
Oh, thanks for finally doing it the way that we were going to do it.
I didn't know
man,
that's how we were supposed to do it. You never said that, you son of a bitch.
I'm kidding.
I'm going to fucking feed you drugs and have you explode in front of me.
He'll have fun with that. Don't even.
Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Don't do that.
Time.
If you're already in front of me, I'm exploding. Just trust me. We got to come up with some sort of sign-off. For the audio listeners, Matt just gave the middle finger to the camera.
He flipped
and I don't know if there's a better way to
I mean,
Thanks for listening, everybody. Go fuck yourself.
yeah.
I didn't know if you guys wanted to do something lame where, like, Matt's like, we are the Slash, and then Tiffany says, or Smash, and then I say podcast, and then we say bye, everybody.
You are such a loser.
I loved me, all right? That's all that matters. You could be mean to make yourself feel better, Tiffany, okay? But I loved me. I can't hear you.
I think that's fun, but I just had to say something.
All right, so we'll just sign out Matt's way. Thanks for watching, everybody, and you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, guys. We love you. Thank you for listening.
And
We
enjoy
appreciate
fucking
you. We
yourself.
really do.
Thank you very much.
Self-care is the best way to go about your day, everybody. You have a great night.
Bye.
Bye. Best ending ever.
Tiff was about to tell us a funny story at work.
She's about to toss the salad.
I
I'll introduce you to hell where you belong.
haven't had many ideas.
So I was silent.
Yes. Tiff, as we all know, works in a massage parlor.